Well, first one. Now there's a little bit of personal attachment to this phone, and I'm gonna not try and get into a lot of specifics with it, but the Pantech Ease definitely was a very interesting messaging phone. Came out around June 20th, 2010, and at the time I had already gone through a lot of messaging phones back in the day. The Pantech Impact being the one that I particularly remember a lot, which unfortunately I do not have yet, but I will definitely make sure to still get it, regardless of the fact. Now obviously this is a basic feature phone. You could just tell right here that this has a QWERTY keyboard. It has a very paltry 2 megapixel camera. It's got a lot of buttons for something of a feature phone, which is, not necessarily a bad thing. 3.2 inches for the screen size, which is actually pretty reasonable considering a lot of phones nowadays are in the 6-inch category. Now this is going to be the first ever phone in this new series that I'm starting called AT&T Archive. And in this video series I will make sure to bring out a bunch of new or not really new, but mostly oldish AT&T phones back in the day, some of which I actually have personal attachment to and I've actually grown up with. So without further ado, here we are with the first AT&T Archive review. Now we got a couple more things to talk about here, so we're gonna first fire up this phone here. Don't worry, I made sure to charge this thing. Now the focusing is gonna be a little bit wonky, so you should be able to see an AT&T logo, but here we go. Yeah, so AT&T boot screen starting up now. Got all the lights on and everything. Alright, now right off the bat, the interface of this phone was definitely something unique. As you can see, you have a little bit of a 3-panel setup going on over here. You have your main time frame right here. On the bottom too, if you could be able to see it, they got dial, your contacts, your inbox, as well as your menu. Now, the screen time is not the best. But you do have a lock screen, and as you can see, I've actually transferred a couple of things onto this phone to allow it to be a little bit more personalized. So, with that unlocked, let's go over to the first screen. First screen right here is where you usually see all your little widgets. So if you kind of scroll down a little bit, and yes, you're gonna have to get used to hearing that sound effect a little bit. But you could just have quick access to basically all your basic functions on your phone. So you got your media player, your picture, your applications, Bluetooth, just the whole 9 yards. And actually it's really unique for the time. Now if you go to the third screen, this is where you can access your contacts. So if you want to assign basically any sort of contacts that you want to have quick access to, you'll be able to put it on this screen. Now, go back to here. Now, I'm gonna preface this by saying that this was 2010. And in 2010, I can kind of consider this to be the early social media era. So you're gonna have your quick access to your Facebook and surprisingly MySpace, which, rest in peace, I wish it was still here, but this I would kind of say was the precursor to the social media explosion movement that we're kind of in the midst of right now. So it's kind of nice to go to a feature phone that was released back in the day that didn't really have too many of those applications to begin with. So definitely was a very nice touch, I will admit. Now there was something that was brought to my attention recently with this phone, and I'm still quite impressed with this feature set. There apparently was a hidden Bluetooth file transfer functionality. Now, I'm gonna also preface this by saying that this was 2.0 Bluetooth, so transfer speed's not gonna be the best on this thing. But because of the fact that I have this phone ready for you guys, and also the fact that I forgot to mention here too, there's a micro USB port on the side of this phone right here. I think we ought to give this a little test. Let's see if we could be able to make a file transfer possible on this here device. Let's get into it. Alright, y'all, I had to kind of just go off camera a little bit just to make sure that everything was okay. But the good news is I have managed to get this working. Now, I did have to unfortunately kind of resort to using USB, but this is perfectly fine by me. Now the question is going to be eventually, how am I going to transfer this picture? Well, there's going to be a couple of things here. So we're going to go to the share options. And obviously we're going to make sure that this device is constantly on. So as a matter of fact, while we're in this process right now, I will just go ahead and show you what it looks like in the settings. So, you know, your settings menu, definitely like a lot more basic than most other devices. Here, I'll just kind of like post it up like right here. So we're going to go to display. You know, we're going to backlighting. We're definitely going to increase that. We're going to increase that by 3 minutes. Alright, so now that's saved, which is good. Alright, I'm going to back out here, go back to Bluetooth. Alright. So, we can copy a file here. And this will be kind of cool to try this out. Yeah, let's see how this would work. Alright, that didn't take too long than expected, so I have the Bluetooth file transfer opened up on the computer here. And look at that, guys. 1 second. Yep, we would like to receive this data. And what do you know, folks? We did it. We finally did a file transfer. And all we really did, let's see, is it in here? Yes, here we go. This was what we wanted. This right here, just a simple little picture. Let's see if we could be able to blow this up here, because man, this is blasted. Like, you really have to get like a solid angle here. Okay. I don't want to rename it. Point of the matter is, you could be able to do Bluetooth file transfers, no issues. This was definitely like a super cool feature to have like back in the day. Yeah, let's click finish first on that computer. Alright, yes. So, at first time, this was what people had to use, like instead of NFC transferring, which is a lot more simpler, a lot less complicated to operate with. And as you can see here too, you could be able to save like other pictures. This was the one that was previously shown on the lock screen that I had before, so that's pretty cool. And then, yes, you could even put GIFs. Not even kidding. I think that's a super cool feature. I wish like more phones like could still, you know, have that capability, especially like modern day iPhones, because let me tell you, modern day iPhones, you cannot have a single GIF as your background wallpaper, and that's pretty garbage to me. So, well, there you go. Yes, we have the file transfer done. Now, what else is there to like be shown on this phone in this current moment in time? Well, we're gonna dive into it right about now. So after going over this Bluetooth file transferring system, I feel like that there's still some other things that we could be able to explore in the device. So, obviously you got your full QWERTY keyboard, a very awesome feature. I could be able to, I'll show you what it's like when you type out a message. Now, the thing that I like about a lot of these feature phones back in the day is each messaging application was always unique in its own sort of way. Now, Pantech didn't really have necessarily like the cool, like, you know, showcase, if you will, of how it looked, because I know Samsung had basically like a notepad sort of feature. Actually, I think this does too. Hold on. Can you focus? Can you? No? Yeah, there you go. Yeah, there's so. Okay, maybe I was wrong. Okay, but yeah, you know, as you can see, like the keys, they're a little shallow. That's probably like the only like downside associated with this phone. It's just like it's a very, very shallow like type of key travel, which is fine by me. So we're gonna close out of this here. Go back into that, you know, portrait mode, if you will. Now this did come with a few games on here, which I'm genuinely shocked that they actually were able to fit some. But as you can see, apparently even had like a shop too, which obviously is no longer operating as this was a phone from 2010. So unfortunately can't really buy any like more of it, but I think there might be a way that you could be able to download some more. Don't quote me on that though. So you got Bejeweled, you got Midnight Bowling 2. Now I do remember Midnight Bowling 2 and Miss Pac-Man probably being my two favorite games that I played on this phone when I owned it, even though this was technically originally my brother's. Now we're gonna take a look at this camera here, and yes, it is a crusty. It is definitely a crusty. Now if you're fine with this kind of type of photography, I mean, go for it, more power to you. I know that particularly my generation is like super huge into like, you know, the low quality photos. So just take a picture like that. And you know, as you can see, it definitely is like, you know, washed out in the color department. And yeah, the lighting's obviously not that great. But at the very least, it's just, it's there. It's serviceable when you need it to be, but it's not great for everyday use. So I wouldn't highly recommend it for that instance. Now the other thing here too, what else is there? Yeah, you got your My Stuff. This is where you can be able to access like pretty much like everything that you used. You have access to your used space. You can actually fit a micro SD card in here. So I'm gonna show you what that looks like. If I can get this battery thing off here. 1 second. First off, lock that baby. There we go. So yeah, right over in this slot right here, this camera can focus, there you go. So right here, you got a little micro SD card slot along with your SIM. Now, because of the fact this is an AT&T phone, obviously you have to have like a SIM card into it, which is a damn shame, but don't you worry, I have some CDMA phones that I'm also going to review too, which will also be part of another series that'll be started on this channel, so keep an eye out for Community tab, keep an eye on my BlueSky for those, you'll definitely be able to catch that. Now, as you can see here, yes, this did encounter a slight bit of water damage, but surprisingly enough, this phone is still operational and hasn't had like a lot of issues as far as like, you know, getting it turned on. I mean, obviously works perfectly great here, so not a huge like, you know, concern. There we go. Yes, so I think maybe like a lot of this was just very well zoomed down. One thing I will have to like kind of give a knock to is the fact that just the screen, it's resistive touch, you know, it's outdated technology, and I mean, this came out in an age when the iPhone 4 was like still on the market, so to have like a phone like this with this kind of like screen technology, it's kind of cumbersome to say the least, and you know, hopefully that will not be an issue for some of the other phones that I'll be reviewing, although there definitely are a couple others that I do have in my library that could probably have that exact same type of technology. You do have a music player. I've always found that to be really cool. Now unfortunately there's not a whole lot that can be done. We did used to try and use this as a music player, and at the time it actually was decently serviceable. However, it's just not, you know, we don't really have like anything in here. But that is going to do it for our very first phone on the channel, the Pantech Ease. Now, is it a perfect phone? It's okay. At the time, I definitely could see the appeal. It was a really cool touchscreen slider phone that at the time was still in its full swing. So to get one of these at the time instead of getting a smartphone, I would have been completely happy with. Now, the drawbacks, obviously the screen doesn't work the best. The camera definitely leaves a lot to be desired. But as far as just like overall functionality goes, like this still is a very serviceable phone. If the mobile network infrastructure was still operating, this would be excellent. And I would highly recommend like anyone who's like in my generation, if they're trying to like decouple from smartphones, this would be a really good option in the modern day. So if you guys enjoyed this video, Be sure to give this a thumbs up, as this is the first in the AT&T Archive series. There will be many more associated with this video series, including some other carrier-specific video series that will also be launched on this channel. So be sure to leave a like on that, subscribe to the channel, follow me on BlueSky, the link will be in the description below. Obviously there's no more invite system, so you don't have to worry about waiting to get in. And then also, I am in the works of trying to create some sort of public Snapchat account, so that way I could be able to throw some of these video clips up for you guys, and you could be able to check it out in a little bit more of a bite-sized content. I will definitely be keeping you guys updated on the community tab when that happens, but for now, this is Retro Landline, calling you back from the past, and I will see you guys in the next video.